Hello, everybody. This is Pangoria Fallstar. I am doing this intro for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth time. I had several crashes. I did a full restart on my computer. My mods completely unloaded, and apparently I had not updated my backup save file, and so it was not. Pretty much I'm reloading all my mods. I don't know if I loaded them in the right order, if that's going to break things. So there's some fun happening. The game is taking a long time to load up because I have the streaming stuff open when I was trying to load it up. Um, and we will see. Uh, some things are just barely registering for the game right now. I think there's some things that a full reset or a crash or something. I don't know. We'll see. Um, So while that is happening in the background, I am gonna once again attempt to talk about. Gosh, my whole camera setup right now is like having trouble keeping up because it's trying to do the load disk while I'm trying to do the stream disk, and there's just too much shared bandwidth space happening, causing issues. Um, So what we're talking about, of course, is the Swashless Roguelock. That's the thing I'm running here. It is combining the Rogue with the Swashbuckler Rogue with the Fathomless Warlock. Technically, you can kind of combine this with any kind of Warlock build. The idea of going Fathomless was because this was based on a 5e build where the player was going to be on a ship. They were starting off at level 6, so I had them do 4 levels of Rogue, 2 levels of Warlock, so that way they would get um, the at least 2 spells for the Warlock and the Tentacles, and they would have the Swashbuckler Rogue um, subclass and at least 1 feat. So they had a starting feat and their 4th level feat. Um, at 6th level, and that was kind of like the starting point. I believe that this can work here really well, and that you should be able to hit 6th level pretty easy with it in your team. So that's what we're running, um, and we're just playing the game, um, letting things happen as they do, and we're trying to maximize how long we don't take rests. So one thing, or long rests specifically, I'm trying to not. I don't like to take a lot of long rests when I play the game. I don't know. It's just something about me. Like, I'm sure I could have a much easier time in this game if I actually took a bunch of long rests, but that's not what I'm doing. Um, right now, um, the game is loading in the background. It's taking it. It's sweet time to load. Uh, it had to like rebuild shaders and a bunch of other stuff. Um, so while that's happening, one thing I do like about certain subclasses is when they invest on a different attribute that kind of makes it more compelling to multi-class it with something else that uses that attribute. So with the Swashbuckler Rogue, it focuses a lot on charisma. Um, well, not a lot, but it does add charisma as a desired stat, and so you can move into Warlock and just have like some nice perks. You end up becoming a better. Uh, I think you end up. I feel like you become a better caster than if you had just gone into being a trickster rogue. The better spell, like different spell options, better spell options a lot of times, and then with just a small poke in investment, you can just get a lot more stuff out of it, and still kind of keep up on the rogue levels. So That's one of the benefits. Uh, the other is that you get a ton of perks. Warlock gives you a ton of perks for just dipping. There's a few classes that just dip really well, um, depending on what your um attribute uh, distribution is. So for if you're doing charisma, warlock dips well. If you're doing wisdom, cleric dips well. Um, fighter dips well a lot of times. If you have just enough, even if you just have dexterity, because fighter can multi-class with either strength or dexterity being 13 plus. This doesn't apply to Baldur's Gate 3. This is more of a 5th edition focus when it comes to setting up your multiplayer. Oh, finally getting a little bit of progress on my percentages here. I'm not sure how much rebuilding had to happen here, but it is taking a long time. Um, so um, the other thing with multi-classing choices like that, like if you're gonna multi-class into a wisdom-based class, then you are better off doing like monk or ranger if you wanted to do that instead of taking rogue because you're already incentivized to having high wisdom. Um, things like that. That's kind of like where the splits come in a lot of times. And so that's one thing I like about having subclasses that kind of, like I said, encourages a different attribute. Like the other issue though I have though is like for example, Trickster Rogue, Arcane Trickster Rogue wants intelligence if you want to make your saving throws better. And then you go, oh, if I'm doing that, I can dip into Wizard. That's the only one that like does the intelligence game, except for Artificer and 5e. Um, but Artificer has never been a well-made class. So if, you go into Wizard and you go, oh, cool. Sometime if you're gonna have that much intelligence, you might as well split. Like, just go Wizard and don't go Arcane Trickster, and get some other benefit from your multi-class with your Rogue. Because the investment in Wizard will end up being you'll be better off not also having to keep track of some of the spells with Arcane Trickster. Um, Even though you'll benefit from having high intelligence. Uh, and at that point, you just go Blade Singing if you're in 5e. Blade Singer Wizard has fewer benefits in Baldur's Gate 3 because a lot of the like Gale can Gale has a background feature that gives him light armor proficiency. So you don't have to necessarily multi-class um, or even pick specific subclasses to get these benefits because they just kind of baked it into being Baldurian. And so there's a lot of little things like that where you're like, oh, I don't even have to worry about it. I just have the thing. Um, and uh, when we first started this Fathomless Warlock run, one of the decisions that was made was to just be able to get free better armor because we're in Baldur's Gate 3. It's like, oh, I don't have to sit here and go like, oh, what armor am I gonna get? Just, here you go, free medium armor, and some better choices in like what weapons you can use, things like that. Um, and I don't, and see that's the other thing is like those are being tied to what species you pick, and um, I wouldn't mind if that was like tied because like I was because of the background. Like I don't mind Gale having a background that does the thing. Um, and so if you're Baldurian and you get it, that makes sense. But they're kind of like combining some of the backgroundage. Like they have like a double background that you get kind of thing, and it I don't know, it gets really complicated when I look at it, to be honest with you. The charisma choices though are really cool. Um because like, that they have like so much stacking with charisma. I do kind of wish there was more like with intelligence, so that way like if you do Eldritch Knight and get like and you can multi-class into another intelligence class that's not necessarily wizard, because the Eldritch Knight is getting your wizard stuff. Um so but whenever you start dealing with having casters be able to pick what their main attribute is, you can get some really wonky um additional extra multiplicative issues with balancing and things like that, especially when you're doing multi-classing. um I don't necessarily like the thing I do with multi-classing is I'm trying to maximize or choose the options that kind of like interact interestingly. um and I'd rather have that than necessarily the um it's not like about the class really, it's about some of the features. So if a lot of that stuff just got broken down into something that I can um pick and put into a basket, I'd rather do that than necessarily multi-class. Okay, so we have um Swashbuckler Rogue, like I said, and then we have Fathomless Warlock. The Fathomless Warlock was because of um the game that the 5e build was going to be played in. It was going to be on a boat. So I focused on being able to give them boat stuff. I'm like, here's a character that goes on a boat. Swashbuckler Rogue, Fathomless Warlock. You're going to be on a boat. You're going to be fine. You get a swim speed. You get to talk to um, sea creatures, a bunch of stuff like that. Like, it was just like a ton of benefits for if he gets pushed off the boat and things like that. And he ended up not getting pushed off the boat, and he just ended up warlocking more than he rogued. But he still had fun with it, and as we've been playing, I've been having fun with it in this game. I I do I once again state that I do need to find a way to start making money off of streaming and selling my PDFs and stuff. If you guys go to my coffee page, more money. Go to my coffee page and support me there. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so looks like the game's loading up and it crashed. Okay. It might be that I just have too many things running at once. I don't. Okay. Um, I'm also kind of like running low on time. I'd only be able to stream for like maybe another hour if I could even get if this was working now. So I'm waiting for the crash report event to load up. Uh, I am going to. I'm going to call it there today. Then because I don't know what's going on. I'm going to try running the game without doing the stream setup and seeing what happens there. Um, and I apologize if I'm not able to finish streaming this game mode for everybody. It just my system needs a severe upgrade, and I don't have the money for that. I don't even have money for my rent. Ah, but yeah. Like I said though, I'll see what I can do. I'll try to change setups, and we'll try again tomorrow. Um, Thank you for anybody who stopped in. I'll talk to you later. Um, Let me do the end screen. Support me on Coffee for more 5e compatible content. And if you want to have me streaming better, like a better, support me there so that I can like buy a new computer or something. All right, bye, bye.